please close your eyes and keep them that way if possible for the next few minutes. I want you to feel darkness. Let it surround you, sit with you, on you. Breathe it in. Take it into your body. There is a reason that children are afraid of the dark, and not just fear of the sudden unknown. There is something intrinsically horrific about darkness. Not blindness, but rather darkness as something that is all-encompassing. Darkness that is not simply the absence of light, but a thing unto itself, a pathogen that grows and changes with a mind of its own and consequences beyond the immediacy of environmental change. We read today of the 9th plague, the plague of darkness, a plague, the Torah notes, that created shut-ins of the entire Egyptian people. They literally could not leave their homes. While today, I hope that we find hope in the knowledge that someday we will all be vaccinated. The Egyptians were not even granted knowledge regarding the duration of their dark imprisonment or the source of their endless tormenting night. Psalm says, Shalach choshech vayachshich. He sent darkness, it was dark. Noting the double language of darkness, the Midrash compares a darkness to a situation where a master sentences his slave to 50 lashes. The taskmaster whips him 50 times, and then 50 more. God sent the darkness, the Midrash says, but then the darkness, like the taskmaster, added something of its own. Were it just the one thing, the health effects of this disease on those unfortunate enough to become infected, it would be horrible, but navigable. Yet COVID has taken on a life of its own, causing not simply illness of the body, the attack of virus on organs, but illness of the mind. The darkness in which we now live has taken initiative, added destructive dimensions of its own. Isolation and loneliness, fear and despair, joblessness and depression. It is the plague that keeps on giving. In words that resonate today, one medieval commentator writes that the Egyptians were essentially paralyzed due to their debilitating dread that the darkness would enter their bodies and kill them. Fear itself did them in, and that fear was well-founded. In a lurid report of what actually happened, Josephus describes the darkness as so thick that their eyes were blinded by it and their breathing choked. They either met with a miserable end or lived in terror of being swallowed up by the fog. Their pain was spiritual as well. The darkness was taken as proof of the death of their sun god Ra. Darkness, though, and its effect on the world is not only a concern of Exodus. It is part of our scripture from the very beginning, where our relationship to it and ability to control it is immediately questioned. Tahu vavohu v'choshech al pnei tehom. The world in its primordial state is described as unformed and void, with darkness over the surface of the deep. Against the belief that the world was created from nothing, the second verse of the Torah lends itself to the understanding that darkness pre-existed God's involvement in the world. Darkness, in this approach, is a primordial force outside the realm of creation, beyond God's grasp. Light may limit darkness's spread, but does not eliminate it. Psalms asks, are your wonders known in the place of darkness? And the prophet Nahum says God will pursue his foes to the realm of darkness. Both sources speak of a place, a dark place, beyond God's reach. It is a place where God is unknown, a place to which God pursues God's enemies, but dares not enter. Rabbi Nehemiah quotes from Job, declaring that the 9th plague came from the darkness of Gehenna, For it says, a land of thick darkness, as darkness itself, a land of the shadow of death without any order. The lack of order of Gehinnom reveals the absence of God. The Egyptians' torment is not then entirely by dint of the divine will. Rather, it is the chaotic darkness deeply embedded in the structure of the cosmos, encroaching on the harmony of our previously ordered world. There are bad, evil things out there that sometimes find their way into God's world. In the light of day, when all is well, life is livable. In the morning, as the sun rises, following the 3 paragraphs of the Shema, we state, Emet ve'yatziv, truth and stable. While at night, as the sun sets, we recite, Emet ve'emunah, truth and faith. In the light of day, there is a sense of permanence and comfort, truth and stability. We are comfortable with our place in the world and God's role in it. It is at night, amidst the darkness, that faith becomes essential. Emet ve'emunah, truth and faith. I hope for many of you that belief, our traditions, the shul, has been a source of comfort and a foundation for your faith, that we can get through this. I also pray that you continue to take care of yourselves, to go for walks, to read, to eat well, and of course, to speak with your friends and family. I know for me, there are better days and worse. One thing that has kept me strong are the thousands of conversations that I've had with you since this all began. I hope that I have been able to raise your spirits. You certainly have helped raise mine. A remarkable thing happens after the plagues. The Israelites leave Egypt, but before they do, while still slaves encamped on Egyptian territory, they hold their first Seder. On the eve of their departure, without any guarantees that they would in fact get out of Egypt, this generation, through the foods they ate and the songs they sang, began to remember a past not yet gone and celebrate a freedom not yet experienced. They had faith amidst the darkness of slavery that light was on the horizon. So too, may we be blessed with the strength to continue and the faith to do so.